Do you often come to these events, or is it the first time?
This is my second one.
Second one. When was the last one?
Last time, yeah, last time.
Right. And what do you hope to achieve by being here?
Well, I just want to do this protest, and I'm 58-year-old. Never ever thought that I'll be on the street at 58-year-old protesting, but I'm doing it now for my son and that generation. They're looking at a future of vaccines and authoritarian existence, and I'm doing my little bit, as many people are, but we've had enough of it, mate. There's been too much money spent on their part for them to suddenly say it's all over. I don't believe it one bit. I think we'll have a new variant appearing very soon. We'll have the climate nonsense going on again as well. So no, this is far from over. This is a long, long way to go yet. I've got friends that have lost their businesses. They've had businesses for 30 years. They've gone down the toilet with their businesses. I've seen people that are so depressed that they're shot to pieces now. Their mental health is shot to pieces now, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. It really is, and it's. I never ever thought I'd see this type of behaviour by the government in my life. Never, never, ever. Trudeau, the Canadian president, saying that if you're not vaccinated, you're a supremacist, racist, misogynistic person. It's ridiculous, mate. It's ridiculous. And I think their whole narrative is starting to crumble, and it's starting to eat itself alive. And I really, really hope I see the day when they start getting their collars.
Are you optimistic about the future?
I have to be. We have to be. Otherwise, what are we going to do? We have to be. We have to be. But it's great to see people here today. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And you, independent media, you're the ones that can come out of this with your head held high. Not that lot over there. And obviously Sky News and places like that. You people, you independents, you're the one that can come out of this with your head held high. And I thank you for it.
Thank you.
Good luck, mate.
You know, the more you add it up, the more it doesn't make sense, and that's been the case from the beginning. So it's obvious that
you're not taking a political stance. It's more like in general.
It's not. It's apolitical. It's apolitical. It's apolitical. There is no. One could initially say that it was nuanced, but I think if you look at the political spectrum of everyone here, it's completely polarised. You have far right to far left, and everyone in between. This is a plan. Unless, like I said, the first thing is that there's a genuine thing that it will genuinely damage people, like a residual. It's a residual virus that they cannot say. They can't say that because it will cause panic, long-term health damage, etc. If that's probably the best case scenario, and that's the only thing that anyone like us can see that is a genuine thing. If you look at the top doctors like Peter McCullough in America, one of the most experienced doctors in America, most published cardiologist in history, in the world, in history at his age. He will say exactly what I've just said in terms of the virus and the medical side of the virus. No one is denying that people can die from it. The whole purpose of things like this is the government have obviously suppressed treatments and they're killing people. Now, in answer to your question, if people were worried about selfishness, surely to let people die on a hospital bed without treatment, that's selfishness. Well, that's not selfishness, that's murder. Let's just not beat around the bush for that. If you look at the deaths from the very beginning, no one's denying that there was a surge of some sort of cases at the beginning. There was something. Now, whether or not it was a genetically modified virus or whatever virus it was, it did cause a surge in deaths. Now, whether those deaths were midazolam in the care homes, I mean, this is the trouble. You could talk about this forever, and I'm not qualified to talk about any of this sort of stuff. generally. None of us are. There are people who are qualified in every field who are being suppressed, and that's the most important thing in history. One-sided, exactly.
Okay.
So.
Two years ago, you was out on your doorstep clapping for us. Where are you now? Where is your support? Clapping to Saki. Support your NHS. Why are you wearing masks in the fresh air? Remove your masks. You're in the fresh air. You do not need them.
I think this is a bit of a tap convention. I don't like it that much. I think it's more about people wanting to be part of something than actually their personal views. I think if you have the time to come to things like this, generally speaking, it seems to be like middle-aged, middle-class people. I'm not really seeing like the representative population that would actually be affected by like the government taking your rights.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about kids, but there's no kids.
No
here.
kids, yeah.
Except like I've seen about like 5 kids here out of hundreds of people.
And I think as like one of the only young people around here who are at this thing, I think our view is that this is a bit of a loony convention, yeah.
I don't think it's fair that like people. I get why people feel like they're being forced, but I think it is kind of a good thing that there's like a widespread vaccination, because you need to think people who are going through chemotherapy, who are too like their immune system wouldn't be able to hack it, right? They're not going to be able to get the vaccine. They can't protect themselves, right? So I think the only reason it is really like good is because like herd immunity. The more people that have it, like we can protect people who can't actually get the vaccine.
And I think generally speaking, it's a good thing. Medical opinion is generally good for it. I think it should be pushed. Not forced. I'm against the mandate, obviously. But something like this should never be mandated. But I think there should be things done to incentivize it. So I think it shouldn't be. I think it should be something that generally the population want. And I think the majority of the people who are against it are old, and they're not going to be here for in the most least crude way. They don't want to be here as long as we are, and they're impacting our potential futures for their quite frankly their greed. Like they want to take things. They want their personal freedoms. These freedoms which really aren't infringing on anything other than just taking a second or two out of your day to take a vaccine that has no real proven bad effects. Obviously there are anomalies, but I think generally speaking it's a good thing.
I know 17-year-olds who are generally very athletic who now struggle to breathe because they've been infected with COVID, and I feel like it's not fair that like people just. I feel like that's okay. Like the younger people should suffer because they want their
freedoms. Yeah.
What would you recommend to these people? What should they do?
I would say.
I think they should stop looking at so many unreliable sources.
Yeah.
For example, myself, even though I'm against what they're doing here, I still don't look at mainstream media sources all the time. I fact check, I double check, I go through even their own sources and I look at them and I try and open my mind. I'm not completely against changing my mind, but I think that the people here are so intent on proving their point and they're never really going to go back on their point. Like I just don't understand it.
The other thing is that I see a lot of people here saying, oh, don't trust the media, don't trust the media, don't trust the media. There's no facts, there's no statistics. But the thing is, a lot of these people, to be quite frank, got their opinion from Facebook, right?
Yeah,
it's like
WhatsApp nothing reliable.
They saw a Facebook post that said the vaccine's bad. Now they don't want it.
For example, a person like yourself, very educated, you're knowledgeable on the subject.
You seem to view both sides.
I feel like if they all represented you, for example, then I'd agree with that, and I think I'd be very happy to be part of it. But I don't think, generally speaking, these people are here for that. Like we saw some people over there, they were arguing over the most ridiculous things, and they're even backtracking on their own points to make sure that they don't lose the argument. I don't think it's a genuine one, and I feel like it feels like a school environment where they're trying to get like a high grade instead of actually like achieving something substantial within the thing. Bridging the gap, I think, is just through having more reliable media, because I think as it is currently, both sides of the media and the underground side are both quite. They're not always reliable, and I feel like there should be a third-party neutral source that puts out stuff. Because the media started as something that was neutral, and it's now being swayed by right, left, Fox News, BBC. These are exactly.
And I feel like people should just. I don't know how we'd go about it, but I feel like everyone should generally have a more open mindset. Yeah, the media likes to put us against each other as well. Like I remember learning about it in school that older people generally like news that like demonises the younger generation.
Inflammatory news,
and that happens like in every. Because
the media's not independent anymore. Everything's profit at this point.
Yeah.
It's what sells is what they're going to put out, and whether that's right, left, centre, they don't care. Whatever makes them money is what they're going to push. And I think a media like that is going to keep society divided and toxic. I think that's the main cause. Because everyone here, I think, on a fundamental level, is probably a very decent human.
Exactly.
But I think it's just your external environment that's going to influence your opinion, and the media is the biggest factor in that. So yeah.
How old are you guys? Can I ask?
I'm 16.
It's 70.
Oh, cool. Okay. Can I get your names?
I'm Clinton.
I'm Hamid.
Okay, cool, guys. Cheers.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice talking. Cheers, guys.
At the moment, it is polarised, and there's a segregation that's getting wider. And I think until we sort of try and understand education, obviously, but just communicating really clearly about why, and getting some honesty and truths, because I don't think there's enough truth out there.
Do you think who's responsible? What do you think? Who's responsible? Is that media or politics or both? Or
Both,
definitely.
right.
Yeah.
So you see a huge problem with media, mainstream media.
Yes. And social media is the only thing that's really helping, even though people are blocked all the time or deplatformed. But without it, we wouldn't be in this position now. If we were just relying on the television. But it's the young people that need to know more, and what's being told at schools. And to parents, it's just everyone's believing in the government and not really digging deeper into what's really happening.
How should we educate the young people?
I think so.
Right now we can't even get close to a school.
No.
This is what we were saying earlier, wasn't it? We had this absolute same conversation.
Yeah, we
That the disappointment for me is how conformist. When I was sort of late teens, 20s, I was informed, I was protesting, I was kicking back, and they seem to be very conformist, very taken in by the media, and we questioned everything, and that there isn't. And I think that comes from education, that there's this sort of sausage factory of people that just have a conformist view, and I don't know if they know how to kick back.
But they also are fans of the big companies. So, when they have this digital piece put into their arms, which is happening in Sweden, they see that as, so what? That's just the way the modern, way is going. There's nothing wrong with that, but they don't realise what it entails and what it's all about.
What's your main thing? What do you see the biggest problem right now with all this? What would you like to be stopped?
Well, the schools stopping the vaccinations. In this country, at the moment, it's 12 to 15, and I know it's worse in other countries, but it needs to stop because there are going to be so many problems opening up.
So it's a vaccine?
It definitely is. If we want a future generation and to have grandchildren, then we need to stop our kids having these vaccines. That is the main problem at the moment.
Do you see it being resolved through politics? Do you see any chance of politicians fighting it any time in the future?
I mean, you see a trickle of some of the mainstream media journalists leaving and then moving to someone who's more open, another company or whatever. So hopefully it will happen, but not enough.
All through this, we've just had one collective voice, and that always makes me mistrusting.
Right.
And the media, because I've always seen the media as the unsung heroes, and the media kick back, and there's always a dissenting voice, but there's been very few, very quiet dissenting voices within the media, which really for me has been very disappointing.
But the Czech Republic are encouraging really what's gone on there.
Yes, I mean Austria is a really bad example, and Hungary is following their footsteps, really.
We hope that the figures we're given are wrong, and that it's been encouraging when we heard that over 20 million in the UK haven't been vaccinated. More like 23 million, and yet the press will say 5 million. So that really lifts your spirits, and we hope it's the same in Hungary and Germany and Austria.
Yeah. Are you optimistic overall?
About half full at the moment. When we see some good news, then it really makes you feel better. But
a lot more optimistic probably in the last couple of weeks than we have been, I would think. That's how I feel. I think it's in the British DNA really, though. I think we've always been quite good at saying enough. We're not accepting this.
Good.
Sorry. I was just talking about a friend earlier, and the daughter is half Hungarian, so British and Hungarian.
Oh, really?
And the father is British, and he's had Bell's palsy on the face, but they don't associate it with the vaccine, so they've all been jabbed,
Right.
And you just think they need to know what the side effects are. We need to advertise what the side effects are. Leaflets through doors.
We were saying that I was expecting more dissenting voices, and we wondered if, because a lot of people in London are either complacent because they're used to liberty, or they haven't had a lot of liberty. It may be people from Eastern Europe that they think that this is liberty, and it isn't. So for me, what we were discussing was that this is two fractions that, and actually being, British and thinking, no, enough.
And I'm just hoping the Nuremberg 2.0 that's going on in Europe now really, makes a difference.